Hi, Carolina. Hope you had a great week. So I'm moving on now to page 24, Down by the Bay. This should be a familiar melody, most likely. It's not too hard. The main thing that it's introducing is a fuller version of the 5/7 chord, which, as a reminder, the 5/7 chord is a combination of the fifth note of the scale that you're using and the fourth note of the scale you're using. So you will have seen that in a bunch of other songs. And then, so what they're doing is they're adding one more note to that. So now it's going to be, going to add, in this case, we're in the key of C. So it's going to be G, F, and then the note we're adding would be B below that, which is going to form a fifth with the F. So B, F, G, those three notes together. So the little exercise they have here, let's read about it. So 1 and 5/7 chords in the key of C. In your earlier lessons, you played a 2-note 5/7 chord in the key of C. To play a 3-note 5/7 chord, add the leading tone, a half step below the tonic. So if you go 1 half step below the first note of the scale, the tonic, then you get what's called the leading tone, because it leads to the tonic, as in the melody, leading tone, tonic, right? In such a way that if you played the leading tone without playing the tonic next, it would sound really unfinished. Right? It really wants to resolve up there. So that brings us to this little exercise here. We're going to play our 1 chord, C chord, the 2-note 5/7 chord we've been playing, the new 3-note 5/7 chord, and then we're going to resolve that back to the 1 chord. And then same thing with the right hand. Like that. And there we go. Okay. So let's take a look at the actual song here. I'm going to play it first, and I'm sure that you'll probably recognize it. Here we go. Beginning. There we go. Now you don't have to do it quite that fast, because the eighth notes are actually pretty difficult at that speed. So if we really want to know, how fast to take this, we just have to look at the tempo marking up here. So it says brightly, so minimum 116 beats per minute, maximum 132. So I'm going to open my metronome app here, and we'll just put in 116. Oops. Okay. So minimum. So even that's kind of tricky, honestly, doing those eighth notes. But or it could be as fast as 132. Which is a little closer to how fast I played it. Although I played it even faster than that, because I'm used to hearing this song a little on the fast side, but whatever you're comfortable with is, what you should do. Well, go a little beyond your comfort zone, but not too far. Okay. Interesting things to note in this song: the right hand is mezzo forte, but the left hand is piano. So the right hand, which has the melody, is playing louder than the left hand. I probably could have emphasized that more in my playing, but in reality, it's really supposed to be more like subtle than that. But what they're thinking is, if they say play piano, the students will inevitably play mezzo piano. just because it's hard to play truly softly, you know. You can see that sounds a little weird. So, but anyway, but yeah, aim to be as soft as possible with the left hand. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else too crazy. I mean, we have another first and second ending situation like in the song a couple songs ago. You'll notice you have to jump here. So you go in the first ending, you're going to go. You're just going to go from middle C and you're going to jump straight to G. But otherwise, not too bad. Like I said, the main thing is going to be that new 5/7 chord. So, moving on then. Let me just check the time. Okay, good. Moving on to the Ice Skaters. This one is kind of challenging. It has a new left-hand pattern called the waltz chord pattern. So it says play each example 4 times as a daily warm-up. So you take a chord, like the 1 chord, we're in the key of C again. So the 1 chord is a C chord. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to play the bottom note of the chord, followed by the top 2 notes of the chord. And you're going to play those very lightly. Alright, so the first note is stronger, not super strong, but strong. And then weak after that. So you have like a strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak. So in other words, don't play it like this. Alright, it should be. And you can do the same thing with the 5/7 chord. Although this 5/7 chord is different from the one we just learned. It actually uses a D instead of a B. It's a little hard to explain the reasoning behind that and how that still counts as a 5/7 chord, unless you have the theory book. I believe that goes over it, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. But basically, that also counts. A D can also be part of a 5/7 chord in this case. Or we could have the 5/7 chord we just learned about that has the B. So you see the left hand does a lot of that in this piece. And this is a waltz. This is in 3/4, right? That's why it's called the waltz chord pattern that we just did. So if I play this one, yeah, let me play a little bit of this one, not all of it. So. So you can kind of get the feeling there. And then the hardest part is probably page 2, where you're going to be going like this. So we have those 8th notes, you know, where you're going G, C, A, C, G, C, A, C, G, C, A, C. And it's hard because we're in 3/4, but the pattern only repeats, or the pattern repeats every 2 beats. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So it's a little awkward. We have a couple things. We have a ritardando there, that's why I slowed down gradually. And then we have a repeat sign, which is going to take precedence over the DC Alfine, because if you do the DC Alfine first, you'll never do the repeat. So got to do the repeat first, and it says on the repeat, play the right hand an octave higher. So you're going to go up here. Hopefully you can see that. DC Alfine, which as a reminder means back to the beginning until fine. So I'm going to go real fast here. And now I'm on line 3. And then we have our fine right there. And that would finish up the whole piece. So that's going to be it for today, those 2 pieces, those 2 songs. Like I said, this one's kind of challenging, but please do send a text soon letting me know how you're doing, what songs you're working on, if I'm going too fast, going too slow. And I will see you in the next recording. Take care.